All right, folks, welcome back. There's a little echo. There's nothing I can do about it. This video is coming pretty quick. Long story short, we've had enough. The line has been crossed, and there's going to be a whole bunch of more stuff coming out here. We were about 2 weeks out from heading back for our second appointment, hopefully rounding stuff up, making things right. As far as we're concerned, that has taken a complete turn for the worst. We're breaking into emails. We're going to start providing some receipts. I'm glad that people are having good experiences. I get the business idea and concept of grand design. Well, you come in for a small thing and we're going to fix a whole bunch of other little things. That's all great. And I'm glad that people are having that experience. What we're talking about here is people that are having real problems, big things that are just getting swept under the rug, and the communication is unbelievable. So we're going to talk a little bit about that. I'm going to show things I thought were going better and they still are falling apart. And then after that, we're going to talk about a little bit of a movement. We're going to start organizing some stuff. I've talked to a few people and we're going to start a thing and we'll see where it goes. We're going to try to beat the algorithms. I never wanted to do this. This whole thing has stolen so much time from me, from my family, from my children. Our entire travel season has been blown up by this fiasco. It's unacceptable. So I'm going to start including some of the conversations, the emails that I've sent, because we're getting to a point now where I think, people need to understand that you can be as direct and professional and polite as possible. And these people, they do not find value in that. I would just say they don't care. We're going to go through this, but I want people to know that I'm not a jerk. I'm not being inappropriate. These are not yelling, cussing, swearing. These aren't incredibly aggressive emails. Like, these are very well thought out. They've taken me hours, sometimes days, if you include proofreading. Anyway, we're all getting bored. So what we've got here, this is just our little thumbnail. You probably saw this. This is how it came back from us. So what do we got here? What are we looking at? So what you're seeing here is after we got back and found all of the problems we had, I started communicating with them on May 1st. And that's when I sent my first email saying, hey, we've got big problems. You guys did a pretty poor job in some specific points, and we were very displeased. On May 7th, this would be the second phone conversation I was able to have with our contacts, but it was more than an hour spent on the phone. After that, they requested a detailed list, and so what started happening was we started exchanging the same copy and pasted list. So every one of these colors you see is a different response. So starting out with the plain white and black text, that was my initial thing sent on the 8th, May 8th. Yellow was a response I got back from my contact that same day. And then the blue was something that I responded back. The purplish pink there was my contact. And then the green now brings us up to current. So I sent this, in June 11th. So we're getting ready to go back. I wanted to touch base and clarify a few things. And then the gray now was a response back to me. So you're talking 33 days between the yellow, which was that response initially, and the green, which I sent a few days ago. So this section here just shows what we're talking about with the slides. We're pretty passionate about this. If you want to read it, go ahead and zoom in. If you're on a phone, this is going to be small text. When it's important, I'll read it to you. So let's talk about the details that you don't get. I've seen some people, they have a whole bunch of stuff on their paperwork they get back. We didn't have much of anything. They have not been able to provide me anything. So either they don't keep any internal documents. There's no real record keeping that goes on with any of this. Keep that in mind because it doesn't exist. So we had questions. This here pertains to the ceiling trim. That's what it has here. We had some other concerns and things, but we had a question about how the wall was repaired. So you can see the rubbing in the picture. I have your team repaired the rubbing marks on the walls. Was this repair made by installing new wallpaper or by removing and replacing the wood-backed, pre-wrapped, or papered panel? Specifically the walls around the upper cabinets and the nightstand area. I said, there's no concern with the repairs. We're just curious. Did they have this entire panel off? It's obvious that they put something here. We've got seams in places we didn't have before. We can show that with pictures. It's not an issue. It's not a thing. Ultimately, what we were looking to find out was, did they just put new paper up, or did they pull that wall panel off and then replace that wall panel? Their response is that every repair is different. It depends on the severity of the rub marks, and they don't recall off the top of their head how ours was repaired. So either they wouldn't take the time, pull up their own records, or they just don't know. I would argue they don't know because it doesn't say anything specifically. So you could argue whatever they used for materials, whatever they had for time is not tracked and it's not accounted for. So because they can't do this, it doesn't show up. There's nothing itemized on any of the invoices or the records that they provided with us. So if you think that you're going to get any kind of detailed record on what it was exactly that they did, you won't. And if you do, it's a change that they've made, or you're a lucky one, because I don't find many people that have detailed records on exactly what it was they did or did not do. We're going to talk a little bit about this, just bring this back up, but it has some relevance. This is a dead horse. If you're new here, check these out. Go back to our other videos. They will explain more of this and we talk about it more in depth. We're just going to read through here. The 2x2 braces. Reinstall the driver's side brace, reworking the other side at your discretion. So this is us talking about how I'm not happy about it. I think it needs to be replaced, and they are still hesitant to say that they are going to repair or replace these pieces here. You can read that. So speak to the VP of service. Initially, they were not going to remove any of the paneling, and they were fine with it. I leaned on them very hard, harder than you would ever believe for what we're looking at here. And then, yes, so what you can see is that ultimately, yes, they would like to take a closer look. Still no admission, nothing. You fill in the gap. Why does this matter? Look at this here. So this is the same section. So I've cut all this out of the email. There's stuff that you guys that doesn't need to see. And in disclosure, there are things that we've spoken about confidentially, and I appreciate that, and I'm going to honor that. And I don't necessarily want names and stuff to get out. So this is part of the section that I titled frame. The first bullet is the 2x2 braces. The next one down after the response I got back in the pink there is this line here. Camber check, standard frame and suspension check, LCI inspection. On the phone, it was very clear that they offered to do this. The conversation behind this, the context was, we're concerned that we have problems with our main slides. And our concern is that problem is potentially due to a more in-depth frame problem than just the upper deck. So camber check, standard frame, suspension check, and LCI inspection. So LCI is Lippert. This comes from a phone conversation. So part of that hour-plus long deal, we hashed over a lot of things, and we had very specific things we're concerned about and why we think we may have larger frame problems. So long story short, they offered this to us. They said, if it makes you feel better and it's going to give you peace of mind in the repairs, we will do this. So that's why I put it here. The thing you need to remember here is that my request, my point was in white. Their reply was in yellow. The only thing they said was yes. And I can show you the rest of this email, and we will, but there are plenty of other places with very simple things, and if we were in immediate agreement, the reply was yes. Like, yes, we will do this. Yes, I have this. Yes, it's going to get done. They didn't say that. All it said was yes. And this is my point. We talked about this on the phone. They didn't flinch at all to just put yes on this line, because that's the conversation that we had. So before we go, heard of people having problems with the timing and how it works out with Lippert coming to do this inspection. So just being prudent and polite, I said, we'd like to confirm when Lippert will be doing the inspection and possibly stop by to see what's involved. We also expect a formal report from Lippert on their findings to include acceptable tolerances. I envision a printout similar to what you might get when you have your car lined. If you had your car lined, you go and take it to the shop. They give you a couple of pages and it shows what was measured, what was normal, and then what it was when they were done. Nothing huge. Sometimes they'll include other stuff, but it shows the standards, it shows what was measured, it shows what they adjusted it to. That's all we're asking. So I just sent that, trying to confirm. So notice what's not here after this. So we've looked at other ones, right? The response I got back is in gray. This was not responded to. So I sent another email the next day or two and just said, hey, I noticed you didn't respond to this. Just wanted to double check. So what do I get back? I get back a real short email. And their response to that was about your upcoming appointment and request as far as having a Lippert frame inspection. If that's something that makes you feel more comfortable, I can give you contact information for Lippert's service, but there was nothing that was reported or observed that gave us any indication that there was a frame issue on the main floor area, so that would not be something that we would do during your service shop visit. This was something that they offered us. We have it documented in these exchanges. It was never asked for clarification. I don't know what else to say. I don't feel like I have to say anything. So this is what the rest of us are dealing with. This is just how life is for us. I don't know what else to do about this. They say they're going to do something. This time we've got the records. I have the receipt. I can show you the thing. I'll show you the rest of them. Yes, there was no question that this was something that they were going to do. And now all of a sudden, whoops, sorry, not going to do it. So here's the response that I sent back. So at least the response that's pertinent to this. And here's the short version. This is the wrap up. On May 7th, we spent more than an hour on the phone discussing several issues related to the repairs and outcome of our first appointment. During that conversation, you offered to have Lippert perform a full frame check. The larger result of that conversation was the origin of this email chain, which is up to 16 or 18 now. This email chain, which was your request for a detailed list. It's worked out very well, in my opinion, to clarify and keep things orderly. From your first reply on May 8th, the same day I sent the list, your only reply to the line referencing LCI Lippert inspection was yes. It would be 2 weeks and several exchanges later until we confirmed the date of our service appointment. And if you don't know what the underlying thing there is that once you confirm it, your stuff is set. There's no question. So the rest of it. You mentioned no changes to work orders after the date was set. To the best of my knowledge, we've never received any information regarding the work orders. It's been our understanding, since our biggest problem the first time was regarding work orders, the work to be done was included in our list exchange. It says, I can find no records of you asking us to review any work orders. From our point of view, you're now telling us a major aspect of the agreed upon service is now not included, and we will need to work with a different company on a different timeline on what will be our third trip. I'm at a loss for words. And that's really the honest truth. So I don't know, you be the judge. Would you be upset? Am I out of line? I feel like this is pretty cut and dry. So here's the deal. We're going to start including links to pages or channels related to the Grand Design frame failure. So most of these are small-scale social media accounts, likely without enough horsepower to drive the algorithm. But now if you found one of us, you can find several more. You'll find many of us have the same issues: moving cabinets, interior rubbing, gapping, roof separation, where the membrane meets the cap, closet slide issues, cracks, and wall problems. Across several production years, product lines, and models, this very similar set of symptoms keeps coming up. Grand Design generally repairs the items, yet maintains their ambiguity, insinuating they're unrelated. Many of these issues are touted by the influencer industry as normal things that you just have to live with. You better be handy if you want a full-time RV. Think about it. How many times have you heard somebody on the internet, one of the big people, saying, you're going to have to replace a few screws. Sawdust falling out is the way of life. Things are going to move. You're going to have to reseal things. I'm not saying that that's not true, but keep that in mind now that we're talking about the new terms in the recent extended warranty. You need to report things within 20 days of noticing a problem. Most of the precursors and indicators for these larger issues are small problems until all of a sudden you're driving down the highway and your roof lets go. Or you just happen to be inside while you're hooking and unhooking and you watch your cabinets move. Or all of a sudden you look down and you're like, holy cow, there's a 3/4 inch gap between my steps and my wall. So with all that in mind, this is how we're going to start doing it. If you get to this video, if you get to my channel, I'm going to go back and start updating the descriptions on all of my other videos, but they're going to start including links. We're going to have the major the Facebook Major Issues page, the Root Down family, and there are many others that we're going to start reaching out to, but so I'll just read through what I'm going to add, what the description is going to look like. So below are links to the pages, channels, and families that are living the grand deception, the worst of grand design. Many have spoken firsthand and shared their stories with each other. Sold a product that was advertised and warrantied for full-time use. Some make multiple trips back to the factory or are spending thousands on alternative housing while grand design acts without urgency at the family's expense. All the while fighting the same "please just fix it right or buy it back at a fair price" battle that others have already been fighting for years now. They know the symptoms, they know the magnitude, and they know you probably won't. So if you have the symptoms or you're thinking about purchasing a grand design, feel free to start with these links. These are the real stories from the real people. I don't know, is there a pattern? I guess you get to decide. But I would suggest that you look carefully before you make that decision. Again, check the links. We've got a pretty busy couple of weeks. I don't know what I'm going to get out. Like I said, we're getting ready to leave. We're going to try to get some travel in before we get to Elkhart, and we'll see what we even get done in Elkhart. This is all fresh. We haven't hashed all the details out with them. There's a chance that they call us tomorrow and go, "Hey, look, we made a big mistake." And we'll be honest about that. I don't think that's how it's going to go. They seem to be puffing their chests, and they're pushing back pretty hard on some people. So I don't know. We're going to find out. I didn't start this fight, but we certainly aim to see it through. As always, we appreciate your time. We know how important ours is, and we really do value that people are watching this. Like and share this. The more people that see this, the more people are going to see the rest of them. Ideally, we start getting people on here that have brand new rigs that are broke and are going back. There are people out there that are on their third and fourth repair that are going back. That's the stuff that's not going to make the algorithm, because we don't have big channels. We don't have the horsepower. We don't have the corporate endorsements. Like I said, if you can find one of us, we're going to try to set it up so you can find all of us. Thanks.